So Retropalooza was last weekend. I say as I'm recording this the Friday before Retropalooza. That was a fun thing, right? But no, that's the last show that I'm going to be doing for a while. After this, I'm just kind of going to be, crunching as much as I can to get this game done by February 7th. And then, figuring out what I'm working on after that, whether it's post-release content or moving on to the next game immediately. We'll see. But this week, I've sort of been working on a few different things. I've been wrapping up the faction bosses that I showed a little bit last week in last week's video and in a stream. So I'll show what I've been working on for those here in a second. But I've also been doing some work for shopkeeper stuff, getting items to display, visual icons. So there's some more unification between what shopkeepers are selling and items you can find in the world. I'm doing some work on achievements, or adding support, so that once I start designing achievements, they'll hopefully work a little bit better. But yeah, it's been sort of a week of tackling anything and everything that I feel like is missing before I start working on content production, because my plan for the next couple of months is October is going to be sort of all about levels. I'm going to be taking the tile sets that I developed for Gunmetal Arcadia 0 and bringing some of those over into the roguelike game. So, you can start in the city, there will be randomized city dungeons, you'll go down into, the caves or out into the wilderness, and eventually end up in the unmade hive. So it'll sort of follow that same pattern with every randomly generated session. But yeah, so October is going to be all about levels, new tile sets, new prefabs, all that stuff. November is going to be all about items. I have mostly what's spawning from treasure chests right now is sub-weapons and heart containers. Eventually, melee weapons will also appear from treasure chests. But then I also want more of the sort of items that give you new abilities and sort of change the scope of how you play the game in the way that the Binding of Isaac does really well. So some of that will be developing what those new abilities are. Maybe I will finally ever add a double jump to this game. We'll see. But yeah, October is levels, November is items. December is going to be all about the legacy system. So that's, as you play the game, events that occur will have consequences on the next session. So this will be, figuring out what those events are and then figuring out what the reaction to those events is. That's going to be all of December. January is going to be sort of last minute panic, doing whatever I haven't done already, figuring out what new music I'm doing for this game. I have a bunch of unfinished compositions from 0. Some of them were really good, and I just didn't have anywhere to put them in that game, so I need to go back, finish those up, figure out what this game's soundtrack is going to be, put together cutscenes, put together key art, storefront assets, all that sort of stuff, and then probably February, that last week before I ship, is when I'll probably put together a trailer. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a couple crunchy months. So yeah, this week I've just sort of been figuring out whatever I need to do to feel like I'm ready for that content production. I mentioned achievements. Something that has come up, I think, on every game that we've shipped is this problem of you're playing the game on Steam, but offline, and you unlock an achievement, and it doesn't, or you do something that should unlock an achievement, but it doesn't unlock it because you're offline, and then you go online at some later time, and it doesn't grant you the achievement then because it doesn't know that it should do that. So I've been making some changes to correct that in most cases. Essentially what I do is I keep a record of all of the achievements that the game believes you've unlocked, and I save that along with the rest of the saved game. This doesn't handle cases where, for instance, you are playing offline, do something that would unlock an achievement, don't save your game, then go online at some later time and play it, because then the saved game doesn't have that record, it still has no way to know that it should unlock that achievement. To fix that one would require this record keeping to sort of take place outside of my standard serialization path, and that just feels too risky for what is ultimately kind of a non-critical feature, so I'm not worrying about that case right now. But hopefully this will take care of 99% of those problems. So we'll see. I don't know for sure yet what the achievements in either Gunmetal game are going to look like yet, but that's something I'll be designing, as I have the opportunity. I guess I'll switch over to the game now and show some of the stuff I've been working on. Let's see. All right, yeah. So this was the faction boss I was showing last week. This is the Gunmetal Vanguard faction boss. I was calling him Hammer last week. Now his name is Brandt. He swings his hammer that fires shockwaves at you, and then occasionally he'll jump in the air. Well, apparently he just wants to swing the hammer right now. Come on, jump in the air. There he is. Yeah, I'll jump in the air and fire a trio of shots at you. So there's still some tuning to be done here as far as how much health he has, how often he chooses these attacks, but that's pretty much the pattern he's going to follow. Quit out that one real quick, and over here to this room. This is the a similar boss. This is the Seekers of Arcadia faction boss. His name is Rail. He follows a similar pattern of walks around, uses a melee weapon, can also jump in the air. But rather than firing shots at you, he just sort of dive bombs at you. He also, when he uses his melee attack here, he can fire either these bullet shots that just fly straight forward, or he can fire homing missiles. So, yeah, and then he'll jump in the air and just sort of dive bomb towards you. So they're sort of similar bosses, just variations on similar themes. And again, there's a lot more tuning to be done there, but I'm pretty happy with how it's feeling. Let's see. I will go ahead and just play a level from the start here and see if I run into the other thing that I've been wanting to show off, which is the way item shops work now. In Gunmetal Arcadia 0, most of the items that you could buy from shopkeepers had no in-world representation. So, for instance, there's like items that can make you jump higher. You know what? This is a bad level. I'm going to restart this. What was I saying? Oh, right. So, yeah, shopkeepers, most of the items they sell have no in-world representation. So, things like the augmentations to let you jump higher or walk through lava, there's no visual representation of those. It's not something that you can pick up in the world. It's not something that you can drop from your inventory. So with this game, there are going to be opportunities to find those things in treasure chests. So there is necessarily going to have to be an in-world pickup for those. And in order to unify the feel of the shopkeeper menus here with those things, I've added this little icon. So here you see the little eye there. That's the sigil, the lens of the Seekers. I don't have icons yet for some of these others, but eventually everything that you can buy in these menus will have an icon associated with it. And if you find one of these in a treasure chest, it will have the same art there. So that the goal of that is just sort of to unify that, so it's clear that okay, those are actually the same thing. And that's going to be important, as I said, like now that melee weapons and things like that will drop from treasure chests, whereas previously they could only be found from shopkeepers. Unifying those elements is definitely going to be important. I was hoping I could find. Oh well, I don't know why I was looking for one of these shopkeepers. They don't actually have any icons set up yet. Oh, I remember. Yeah, I was gonna say the only sort of visual representation that I did have in 0 was for things like ammo, keys, and bombs. It would have the icons up in the text there. But for other things like combat bracers, this is the thing that lets you stab up or down, like in Zelda 2. But there's no real visual representation of that. If you found this item in a treasure chest somewhere, how are you going to know that it's the same thing that you could buy from this guy? And that's why this icon is important. So I was hoping I would not have to make any changes to the dialogue system for this game, because that code is very old and very fragile, and I hate working with it, but it ended up not being a big deal. I got this working in about a day, and now I just need to go back through and add all the art for all those things. So, could be worse. I think that's pretty much the extent of what I've been working on this week. So yeah, I guess I'll just end that there. So yeah, I guess I've sort of covered the future roadmap already. Hopefully, there's not a new build this week, just because I'm getting set up for Retropalooza this afternoon. I don't have time to make a new build, but there should be one next week that will have these faction bosses and whatever else I'm working on. Hopefully, very soon, new levels, new tile sets, all that stuff will start showing up, and these last couple months are going to be when all of these ideas for this game start coming together. So it should be exciting and no pressure. As always, thanks for watching. This series is supported through Patreon. I want to give a shout out to patrons Jace, Benjamin, and Opine Nana for their contributions. You can find the links to my Patreon campaign below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.